Are we live? Doesn't say where we're live. Sorry, guys. I'm brand new to StreamYard, so I'm just trying to figure out the location. This is also my very first live stream. So if you're catching the replay, my name is Wendy Literal. Go ahead and skip ahead a few minutes because this is probably me kind of tinkering for a few minutes. But yeah, so I'm going to go over today how to install your very own, very first WordPress website. And I have put together a PDF. It's very rudimentary. There's not a whole lot to it, but it does have the step-by-steps of how to actually go around and install your site. I use Green Geeks as the hosting company, and I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but just so that you know where this is coming from, I use Green Geeks. They are a phenomenal hosting company. I've been with them for like 10 years. They have their customer service is great. Everything's great about them. There are affiliate links for them inside this PDF if you want to check them out, but I find that their pricing is super competitive to what the big wigs like GoDaddy and Bluehost do. And I've had my fair share of problems with GoDaddy and Bluehost. Some people have phenomenal experiences, and some people don't have great experiences. So this is kind of where this is at. So I've been with them for a long time. They're really great, and I'm going to walk you through the PDF because there are some things that I just not sure how I could show on a live stream. Things like signing up for an account without showing you my credit card information, for example. So I want to walk through it, and we'll just kind of see how this goes. Again, this is my first live stream, so we're gonna give it the best go we can, and just kind of go from there. On the screen, you should be seeing Creation Depot. I don't know if you can hear it. My dishwasher is telling me it's done at the perfect time. Creationdepot.com/install WP is where you can go to buy this PDF. It's only $7. I made it super cheap. Just in case you don't want to just write notes as we go through, because I'm literally going to go through this PDF. So if you want to skip the $7, just take notes as we go, and you can do it that way too. But this is all written out. It's good to go. All the links to everything I'm going to talk about are in here. So it's just easy. So with that, I'm going to see if I can make myself smaller here without going totally off screen. Can I do that? Hey, that's better. Okay. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so installing a self-hosted WordPress website. So basically, let's start with that. What is a self-hosted website? A self-hosted WordPress website is literally you setting up WordPress on your own hosting account. So if you go to GoDaddy or you go to Bluehost or you go to a hosting company that you want to work with and you set up a hosting account, you just, you pay however much, and then you go through and you have the account. Okay, now what? So self-hosted just means that you are hosting your site yourself. You're hosting it through a hosting company, but you're hosting it yourself. And what that allows you to do is it just lets you be in charge of it. Like, for example, we've all seen like big companies like, Periscope, which is like a video streaming place, just kind of disappear. And then it got bought up by Twitter, and then it just kind of evaporated. I think it's still out there, but it's not as strong as it once was. MySpace disappeared. My point is that these big companies, where you invest everything you have into just setting up your site on these platforms, they can be gone immediately. And the same can be true of your hosting company. Your hosting company, if you decide to go with them, can just be gone as well. So it's the difference here is that because you're in charge of the files of your website, you can save a copy of your website. And then if it goes down, all you do is like basically pick up your toys and go to the new playground, and then just boom, within an hour, your website's back up, so it's something to keep in mind. And that's why I try to tend to promote these kinds of things, because honestly, it's like you don't want to put all your hard work and effort into something, a platform, and then just have it disappear or get bought out and then shut down, which happens a lot as well. People will buy their competitors and shut them out so that then they're the only ones in the playground, right? So it's good. It's a good way to do it. I highly recommend it. And a lot of people tend to shy away from it because it seems, oh, WordPress is so much more complicated than Wix or Squarespace or any of those other big ones. And the truth is that, yeah, there's more things to click on, because WordPress is something that can be customized to a very small website where it's just a couple of pages and maybe like a blog. And it can go all the way up to like running CNN.com. I don't think CNN uses WordPress, but I know Disney has it for some of their sites. I know like there's several big names that you wouldn't think of that have customized the WordPress software to their own thing. And because it's an open source software, they can do that. So the lesson to take from that is that you can grow your site without running into limitations or having to buy the next tier up package or that kind of thing. There probably will be some investments you make on your site as you go, as you scale, as you get bigger. But in general, you can access at least like the lower level things like e-commerce for having your own shopping cart right away. So, and there's no payment barrier. So these are things to keep in mind. That's why self-hosted WordPress websites, I tend to tell people, just get over that learning hump, get over the problem when you first start, because the payoff at the back end is so much better. I mean, it's like forever, right? So with that said, let's pop on down to the next one. We've talked about that. If your website goes down, you just take your stuff and go. Um, Obviously, I went into super detail in this PDF, probably more than I needed to. Now, let's talk about where you're setting up shop. Where should your hosting be? And, I'll tell you one thing. Give me 1 second. I'm going to cover up the live number because I keep looking at it instead of actually like giving a presentation because I'm like, is somebody watching? And it's just, yeah, nerves. All right. So where are you setting up shop? You're setting up shop where your hosting is going to be. Now, like I said, GoDaddy and Bluehost, they're decent. They're not terrible in terms of like once your website is up and running, you're not likely to experience problems going down. The problem is that if you ever get hacked or if you ever do run into a problem or like a problem I had with a recent customer, I was like, yeah, just go sign up at GoDaddy, no problem. It's like, I offer hosting as well. But at the same time, it's like this customer had to do it on the super cheap because of they were a nonprofit and there was very limited budget to work with. And when they went to sign up for it, GoDaddy like added stuff to the cart as they were checking out. And I went back and looked at it and I'm like, did this customer just misclick? Did they just hit something? No, I went through and pretended to buy something and it definitely did add like a security pack to their stuff. And like their whole checkout should have been like $50 for like a year of hosting. And it was like 200 or 300. It was something in the hundreds. And it was like, dang, that's so not cool. And we'll talk about security in this too. Security does not have to be expensive. In fact, you can get an SSL certificate, what makes your site secure, for free from Green Geek. So, just little things to keep in mind. It's like, doing GoDaddy kind of has a bad place in my heart now because of that experience. Because I told them to go to GoDaddy and then they had this bad experience. So and Bluehost I actually did use several years ago, and I just ran into a lot of trouble just accessing their customer service. It's probably better now, but at the time it soured me on them. So anyway, so Green Geeks, why do I think they're awesome? They include the SSL certificates for free, which is huge. A lot of companies will charge for security certificates, and they do have a paid version, but 99% of you will not need that paid version. And the paid version is if you're doing like super extreme web app things. Don't worry about it. And why they are called Green Geeks is because they actually, for all the energy that their servers use, they buy back 300% of that into the system. So like they buy credits, like what's called green credits. And what that allows them to do is it offsets their carbon footprint. So they're better for the environment. That's what attracted me to them initially. But I will tell you, I have hit up their customer service, which is like a little chat bubble on their website. I have hit up their customer service so many times and just been like, hey, I did this thing. Can you help me with this thing? And then they're like, no problem. We got you. And they just, they fix it. There's never like, I know sometimes you'll have hosting companies where there's like a language barrier or there's just somebody that's not very happy with their job. And I've never really experienced that with Green Geeks at all. I can't think of a single instance. So that's why I keep touting them, because they're really good. All right, so let's get started. So this is what you will see if you were to buy your hosting through Green Geeks. Again, I'm going to be doing this as though we are going to buy through Green Geeks. And just because I think it's easy. Now you will see down here, you can get hosting for $2.49 a month. Hosting should be cheap, guys. Like it should not be like through the roof expensive for a basic brochure, which is like just a very simple website. Even if it has e-commerce on it, this package is okay. It will work for you. So just buy the cheapest thing and move forward. Now, what I will say, you're going to hit that getting started now button, and then you're going to choose your package. So either Lite or Pro will work. But the reason I suggest that you go with Pro is because it's slightly faster and the price difference is really negligible, right? Like we're talking about super low prices per month anyway, even though you're paying it annually. So whatever that price is times 12 is what you're going to be paying. But it's only like $3 more a month, and it just prevents you from having growing pains. Like, let's say you buy the light because you're brand new and you're just starting, but then 3 months from now you are finding that you either have large images or just basically you don't want to run into the growing pains so soon. So for the price difference, just buy the pro, and then that way you won't have to um, deal with upgrading later or running into like maybe WordPress errors because your site isn't big enough to handle what you're trying to ask it to do. I'm thinking like e-commerce here, that kind of thing. If you just buy the pro from the get-go and just splurge on that extra $10 or whatever minor amount it is, you'll thank yourself later. So, like, yeah, if you want to have a second domain, that was one I ran into. If you want to have a second domain, you're going to run into problems with that. With Pro, you can have as many as you want, and it's not a problem. So, all right, so let's set up that domain name. Now, hopefully you have already kind of have an idea what you want to call it, either your business name or something local, like, Burgers in Fredericksburg, like that kind of thing. Having a domain name that is about your keywords is great. Um, but don't be afraid to also buy a domain name that is about the name of your company. It's okay to have multiple domain names. It's not an effective strategy anymore. It used to be that people would buy domain names that were keyword heavy, so that like it would help like yeah, this domain name has the keywords in it. I must be better for Google. It's not like that anymore, guys. Like Google is their AI is just so advanced. It just doesn't make a difference anymore. But choose a domain name that's going to work for you, and you can include that with your hosting. So when you sign up for hosting, you should get a domain name as well. When you go ahead and register for it, this is the screen that you're going to see. And again, I can't do this without showing your credit card, so that's why I have it all in a PDF. But it also makes it easier for you because when you go to do it, you'll have something to refer to, right? All right, so this is the hosting order I put through when I went to go do this. You'll see stuff that is crossed out. So the next step is just setting up your account information and billing information, just as if you're buying something from any other online shop. And then as you go through, you'll see my total here is $59.40 because the discounted coupon, that's that like slash through, it's $249 or whatever small amount it was, right? That's what this is. The free domain, it is free for the first year only, guys. So expect to be charged about $20 next year, but it's free for 12 months. So it's a good starting point. And you can cancel too. So if you get to like the end of the year and you realize that maybe this isn't for you, you can just stop it at that point and they'll stop the domain as well. So fill it out, get going. Yeah, that's me reminding you. Don't forget about the domain name next year. Like make yourself a little Google Calendar reminder, so you don't get caught. But I will say, do I have it in here? I'm not sure if I do or not. The essential so these are free and you do want them. What they do, the domain locking, it just prevents anybody else from pulling your domain name. Like let's say they were able to get like some identifying information about you, and they were able to try to like sneak that domain name away from you by trying to register it through another site and then instituting what's called a transfer. The domain locking prevents it from happening unless they have a special code that only they will generate. So unless they can get into your Green Geek site, they can't do anything about it. So, and then total DS control, you want that as well. It's just another way to protect your domain name about where it points to, because sometimes people will grab a domain name, like hackers, they'll grab a domain name and they'll point it to a different place. This prevents that from happening. So you want to check both those things. But gosh, I don't think I have it in here. I should probably add that. There is also something called domain privacy. If you see that option, get that as well. It is like $10 per year. Totally worth it, because what it does is that when your domain name is registered, it's technically public record, and they are required, or it has to display who it's registered to. So if you choose domain privacy, what it does is that it actually has the person that's registered to as this third party business. And even though it still is yours and it's still registered to you, your information does not show up on that public records. And the reason that's so important is that spammers love that stuff. They will go through and they'll just scrape all the email addresses. And then suddenly, if you don't do that, you will suddenly find yourself with a lot of spam. It's the way that hackers do it. They go through and they just get it. They're not really hacking. They're just using public record against you, and they're using that information. And that's a little bit of a security thing as well, because if your information is public, they know that they can have that information if they ever try to get into your site. So it's something worth having. So payment information, again, can't show that. So that's why that's there. Just your standard, put it in, no problem. I ran into this myself where the credit card you're using expires. Make sure, this is another little Google Calendar pro tip, put it in your calendar when your credit card expires and that you used it for your hosting. Because if they try to bill it and for some reason you don't get the emails about like, hey, we're trying to bill your account, it's not working, your site will go down, right? Like if you change your emails halfway through, your email address halfway through the year and you forget to update it with them, they're sending their updates to that email address. So if your credit card expires and you don't remember that it's tied to this, you know, your site's going to go down. So prevent that from happening. It's a super easy thing to do. It takes 2 seconds. All right, enabling your SSL certificate. So what you want to do is go to security, and then you're going to pop down to add SSL certificate. And then from there, you're going to select a service. So on the service, you're going to select the free one, or hang on one second. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, select your service. And if you're brand new, you're only going to have one hosting package to select from. I have multiple on here, so it didn't quite make sense. But you select which hosting package, and then from that hosting package, your domain name is nestled inside your hosting package, and then you would select domain, right? If you don't have multiple domain names, you may not even see this. It may just autofill for you, but you select your hosting, and then you select which domain name you want to have the SSL certificate on. This is super important, guys. Before you do anything else, don't install WordPress first. Don't do all this stuff. Do this first. And the reason you want to do this first is because it actually affects the installation of your WordPress site. So, and we'll get to that. I'll show you how that works. But do the SSL certificate first. Select your domain name. Hit continue. Select the free version. The Let's Encrypt is the name of it version. That will get you the little lock icon in your browser. It will totally serve the purpose. And then confirm and create. It takes a minute. It's not like instant, but it's pretty quick. Hit install, and then once it shows that it's installed and you're good to go, like ccreationdiva.com installed. Once you get that little green dot, you're good. So now we're finally getting to where we can install WordPress, right? So let's get to it. So you're going to go to hosting, and then you're going to go over, and this is very similar across all the different hosting companies. So if you decide not to go with Green Geeks, you will find something very similar to this in your admin side of your hosting company. When you log into your admin, or when you log into your account on the hosting company, so when I'm talking about the admin, it's the admin dashboard. You log in, and what you see when you log in, that's called a dashboard. On that dashboard, you will see something about WordPress and installing WordPress. So click on that, and then the rest of these steps will follow. All right. So in Green Geeks, you'll see this on your dashboard where it says the name of your account. Because again, you can have multiple sites on one hosting account, right? You hit that, you're going to go over to cPanel. On cPanel, it's going to look something like this. Now, Green Geeks, right after I made this PDF, they updated their cPanel. So you see, our cPanel doesn't even look like this anymore. It's basically this really modern design right now, but everything's in the same spot. It's with text now instead of icons. It looks a little different. It's going to look something like this, guys. This is a very old version of cPanel, by the way. They've used it for a long time. So what you want to do is you want to scroll all the way down this page, go all the way down this page, and then at the very bottom, you will probably see something that says Softalis. Oh gosh, I don't even know how you say that, honestly. Apps installer, and they consider WordPress to be an app. So you're going to hit WordPress right here. That's going to bring up the this thing, and you go in, and it's going to bring up the WordPress installation module for that software. The one I can't pronounce, that actually lets you install a whole bunch of different kinds of web apps, and WordPress is one of the ones that are in there. So it will bring you right to this page. When you are on this page, you know what? Let me make this bigger. I want to hide myself for a minute. Is that any better? I can't make it bigger, can I? All right, we're seeing a little bit of a problem with this because maybe I can zoom in on the PDF. Is that better? That's a little better. Yeah. Okay. All right. So when you log into this part of it, right, when you've clicked on that WordPress app and it brings you over here, you're just going to come over to the Install Now button, which is this right here, right? From here, it's going to bring you to the setup page. Now, if you're not technically inclined, I know this seems like a lot. None of this is hard, right? You're just clicking on buttons and you're clicking on them in the right order, right? Like it's not a very difficult thing. It's just there's just a lot of steps to installing WordPress. And once you get through it though, you're done. And that's all there is to it. And then you could actually set this up to auto update itself if you really don't want to have hands on with this at all. You can do that. So you won't have to worry about this stuff ever again. So you want to choose the version you want to install. It will automatically choose the latest stable version. And so you don't have to worry about it. Like at the time that I did this PDF, it was 5.7. But now, remember I talked about the SSL certificates and like how you want to do that first? This is why. So if you come over here, if I can't click on it right now, obviously, but if you were to click on it, you could drop this down and it would say HTTPS. That's the one you want, right? And then the www. And when you do that, you will select your domain name. And in your instance, you're probably only going to have one domain name. And then in the directory, leave the directory blank if you don't want to nest your WordPress on something else, right? Like if you had like if you're trying to set up a blog on an internal part of your website, that's what you would use directory for. But most of you aren't going to do that. So leave it blank and it will install it at what's called the root of your website, the very base bottom of it, right? In the file structure. The site settings. So name your site and name your site description. If you are not sold on it, don't get hung up here, guys, because you can go into WordPress and change this. Just go to your general settings and then these options will be right there and you can change it and then save it. It's super easy to do. So just get something in there because it has to have that field full in order to install it. From there, you're going to pop down and choose here, this is what I was talking about, the drop down. And then choosing your password, right? Like using a strong password. If you can use a strong password, do it, because having a strong password in this instance, and none of this stuff is accurate anymore, just in case anybody's watching this being like, oh, she's showing her passwords. This is not my password. But if you use a strong password, that right there blocks so much of any hacking attempt on WordPress site. WordPress is 1/3 of the internet. That's how big they are, guys. They ever like 133% of every website you ever visit is a WordPress website. That's how big they are. So hackers tend to target WordPress websites, right? But having a strong password cuts out so much of the problem, so much of it already. So just choose something hard and save it somewhere like in a notepad on your desktop or something. Just make it difficult. You won't, even if you have like a save thing, like in Chrome lets you save your passwords, that works too. Just make it hard so that somebody from the outside can't easily get to it. If you can use a different email address here than your standard one, that's preferred, but don't feel like you have to. Again, it's just a security thing. If you don't use the one that you show publicly, for example, then somebody is going to have a harder time getting in. All right, so English is the default. Choose the limit login attempts. These are checkboxes at the bottom. Do I have a picture? I hope I do. No, not up there. Let's see. Nope, I don't. I should add that in. All right, so at the very bottom of this installation page, there is this thing where you can do some checkboxes right before you choose which theme you're going to have. And that right there is these limit login attempts and the Lightspeed cache. So what Lightspeed does is it lets your browser remember certain things about your website. So the next time somebody comes to your site, it loads super fast. That is important because it creates a better customer experience, right? Limit login attempts. This is that hacking thing I talked about. So a hacker will go in and they'll write a thing that goes and finds, oh, this is a WordPress website. Let me go to the admin page of the WordPress website. And typically that is just the name of your site /WP-admin. And it will go to that site and then they will try to, what's called a brute force attempt. They will just basically throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and see what sticks, and they'll try to get into your site. If you have limit login attempts, it's a machine. It's software that they've programmed that's doing this. So if you limit the software where it can only try to do this 3 times, and that locks that IP address out. So whatever IP address they're using to try to get in, it will say, no more. You've tried 3 times. That's it. So that's what the limit login attempts is. Check it. It's just a really easy way to keep people out. So, but do uncheck the WP Forms Lite. Honestly, guys, like it's okay. It's not fantastic. The Contact Form 7 plugin is so much better, and you can install it later. It's just so much better, guys. It's so much easier to use, and it lets you do so much more. And it's not like super techy. It's good. All right, so leave the rest of these alone. The database name, the table prefix, you'll have the option to like choose which ones you want. Disable update notification emails. Disable. Take that. Don't check that one as well, or don't mess with it, I should say. These are like fields that you just want to leave alone. So basically, if you don't know what it is or it intimidates you, just skip over it. The defaults that this software installs are really good. So just leave them be. um, Change. So this one, auto upgrade. So upgrading WordPress, you have the option to allow WordPress to update itself automatically. And if you allow it to um, update to the latest version available. Now, we talked a little bit already about hackers and problems that WordPress has because it's such a big part of the internet. Um, it's an easy target. So one of the easiest ways to keep people out is to just have it update itself automatically. Now, usually I would say that it's like 99% of the time, you will never have a problem with it trying to update its software. 99.9% of the time. Like it's rare, like once every couple years that I have to deal with this where an update did not go as planned. And it's almost always because it conflicted with some third party plugin that I put in on the website, for example, right? Like it's almost never WordPress's fault or problem. So you do want to change this one to update to the latest version available because those latest updates have the latest security things as well. So WordPress is always keeping an eye on how people are trying to exploit their software. And so if they find something, they can quickly insert a fix and then send that out to everybody that uses WordPress. And if the system gets one of those updates, it will automatically make your site safer. So that's why it's important. Now they have like new features that roll out and things like that as well. But that's the key one. If you want to set it, forget it, choose this one, right? So, but yeah, occasionally it does mess up. And if it does mess up, just go to your hosting company and say, hey, roll this back for me. And they do it and it's fixed. And then WordPress realizes they've made a mistake because everybody yells at them and then they fix it. And then the next day it's correct. So it's never a long-standing problem. So don't fret about it. Don't worry about it. All right. So check the auto upgrade WordPress plugins. Check the auto upgrade WordPress themes. Again, same reason. You want to make sure that it's good to go. I see a typo. Backup location, make it the local folder, right? And then the automated backups, make it once a week. And then the backup rotation, it's already going to be set to 1. Just leave it alone. All right, selecting themes. So here's the thing. I would not select a theme here. You'll have the option to, beneath all these options, you'll have the option to select what theme you want to use. And honestly, I wouldn't select them. There's some good ones in there, don't get me wrong. Like, and if you don't want to pay for one, I totally understand and use one of either the ones that comes with WordPress, which WordPress does install its own theme. So you could just use that one. But if you want to use one of the ones here, you certainly can. You can look through them and see if they're worth having. Just check the ones that you want. I would suggest only checking one. You don't want to have extra data. Like it's just keeping things technically clean, even though you can install 10 themes, you're only going to have one that's active. So why bother? Unless you want to try a different few and then delete the other ones, you could do that too. So once you have made all these options, it's time to install them. You hit install, and then you can choose to enter your email here. It will send the details of the installation. The details are going to include things like the name of your WordPress tables. It's going to include things like, I don't even remember. It's been so long. I don't think it has your password. I think it might have your username. I think that's kind of it. And just some like basic server related issues that you'll never look at or details you'll never look at. So once all that's done, it'll tell you it takes about maybe 2 minutes. It's not long to do the install. And then after the install, you're going to be presented with 2 links at the very end. One is going to be your website link, right? Like creationdepot.com. And the next one's going to be like creationdepot.com/WP-admin. So go to your website, click on those links, go check them out. The website's up and running, you'll see it there. It's like get that little excitement that it's, hey, it's live, it's good, right? But once that's done, you're going to want to go back and go into your admin, right? You're going to go to your domain /WP-admin. And what that's going to do is going to let you log in with that login information you set earlier with the username and then that crazy long password. And that's the one in step 6, just in case you need to go back to it. But what that's going to do is it's going to bring up your dashboard, right? So in here, you would log in with your username or the email address that you use. And this is why I told you, if you can use a different email address, try to use a different email address. If you can't, you only have one, it's okay. It's an extra security precaution because this is one half of the puzzle to get into your site, right? So anyway, your username or your email address. and then your password, and then log in, and then that will take you to your dashboard, and that's the install. That is the install prices or process for WordPress. Once you log into the dashboard, I'm not going to go into how you use the dashboard, how you add posts, how you do all those things. That will be in another webinar, I'm sure. But because that's like the next step, right? Like, okay, I've got the site. Now what? What do I do with it? It's WordPress is very customizable. It's very easy. And my hesitance just comes from is that people see all the things they can do and it's like death by options, right? And what I want to do is make sure that I set up the next webinar to be very strategic. So when you go in and you set something up, it's like this is the button I click on. This is the thing that I do. Because when you are not technical and you just don't know where you're supposed to go to look at things, you're afraid of messing stuff up. So I think that's going to be the next one for sure. It's just like, well, how do I use this nice site that I set up? But once you log into the dashboard, YouTube is your friend, guys. Like YouTube University for the win. Just you're already on the site anyway. If you've installed it this far, take a second and go see if you can find some like WordPress beginners, and they'll walk you through everything. Just stay away from the ones that are like 10 and 15 minutes long, because I guarantee you they will not tell you everything that you need to know. But it shouldn't be longer than like 45 minutes. Look for one that's about that time frame, because that's going to tell you how to add posts, how to add pages, how to change your site title, how to add your menus. And that's pretty much all you need to get started, right? You just need the site to be able to change the content on it and hit publish and go live, right? And then there's more advanced topics like adding stuff like WooCommerce, which is an e-commerce software that's free. That's awesome that you just link to your PayPal account, and it's great. Um, but yeah, that's it. So if you want to have this WordPress install guide, just go to creationdepot.com/install WP, and it's right now it's on sale for $7 because I knew I was going to be doing this webinar. It's normally 20, and I knocked it down to 7 because I just wanted to have a really good launch. So that's it for now. If you guys want to follow me over on Instagram, it's a really good option. It's just Wendy_literal, 2 T's. And what that will let you do is that if you want to send me a DM, a direct message, and ask me any questions, I'm more than happy to answer anything, guys. So if you want to send me a message there, or if you want to leave it in the comments below on YouTube, you can do that too. YouTube loves engagement, so I'm all about the comments. But it's also really good because if you ask a question and somebody goes down to the comments, they might get their same answer already. So it's kind of like a self-fulfilling thing, right? Like I answer the question, somebody else can see the answer. It's kind of great that way. So again, go ahead and check me out over at Wendy_literal, 2 T's, over on Instagram. Leave a comment below if you need to. Like and subscribe. I'm doing these things every Saturday now, so good thing. And if you want to check out the the full version of this PDF, go ahead and go over to creationdepot.com/install WP. I will put it as a pinned comment below when this video finishes being up on YouTube. And yeah, take care, guys. I'll see you in the next one.